day at Lurgan Junior High School. I'm Rebecca and we have a jam-packed show for you today. So let's get started by heading upstairs to talk to Amy, who is with the 4 finalists of today's Best Dressed Hero competition, which you will be voting on later. Amy, how's it going up there?
Everything's going great up here, Rebecca.
It's going to be difficult for the school to decide on a winner, isn't it?
Well, we have some great contestants here and I'm just going to interview them now and see why they think they should be the winner. So, who are you dressed up as today?
I'm dressed up as Edward Carson.
And why was Edward Carson your hero?
He's my hero because he fought for Home Rule in Ulster and Northern Ireland.
Thank you very much. So, who are you dressed up as?
I'm dressed up as Fiona Bone, who was one of the 2 policewomen who were shot in Manchester.
And why did you pick her as your hero?
I picked her as my hero because she is very brave and she put her life at risk for other people's safety, and police save a lot of people's lives during the year.
And why do you think people in school should vote for you?
I think people in school should vote for me because Fiona Bone was a very brave person and she fought for a lot of people.
Thank you very much. And who are you dressed up as? And why have you chosen your dad?
Because he helps the army.
And why do you think people should vote for you? Just because your outfit's really good? I'm really liking this outfit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who are you dressed up as?
I'm dressed up as my dad.
And why did you dress up as a paramedic?
I dressed up as a paramedic because paramedics go around people and they see if everyone's okay and they help people out.
Why should people vote for you?
People should vote for me because I love my dad and my dad does very well at his job.
Thank you very much. And finally we have Matthew, who is in a very nice dress. Why are you dressed as this today?
Because my mum's awesome.
Because your mum's awesome? And why is your mum your hero?
Because
she makes your bed in the mornings?
Yeah, probably.
And why should people vote for you?
Because the dress is awesome.
Fair enough, thank you. So now you've seen who our contestants are. Every class must pick one person to vote for, write it down on a piece of paper, and then send it to Miss Hannah's room, where the votes will be counted and verified, and then we will announce our winner soon.
Thanks, Amy. They all look great. Last year, Chloe, Rachel and myself went out on Loch Ness to help their rescue team. It was pouring with rain and we got absolutely soaked, but we had a great day. And it was very interesting to find out what they actually do. And I was amazed at how fast the rescue boat is. The film we made is used by the rescue team when they visit schools. Here's how we got on.
We're out in the Loch Ness and the pilot has really bad chest pains. He's very unwell. Can you come? Okay. Okay. Right. They'll be here as soon as possible.
Sorry.
He's in there. Just stay there.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Anybody else down here? Just the back. You're back? Oh, hard. Hard. long have you been like this?
A few minutes.
Just a few minutes?
Yeah.
Right. Any of you know?
No.
No? No, don't want to talk?
What's your name?
Right. You should we sit there, girls. We'll try and sort them out here, okay?
Alright, yeah.
What is this?
It's hard, man. It's hard.
You any medication with you? You've nothing at all?
No.
Right. Okay. The boat's all switched off now. Do you want if we try and help you and sit down here, maybe get you a wee bit more comfortable? Are you happy enough to move?
Yeah.
Right. What's your first name?
Dominic.
Dominic. Okay. Listen, we'll try and just get you down here and we'll try and get you over in this easier seat here. Alright? Yeah. Okay, you happy enough to move now? Come on. Right. Let me see. On ahead. Good man. Okay. Just have it easy. Okay. Take you hold on to me. Right. Right. Turn you around. Sit yourself down there. Get your feet up here, Dominic. Okay, and try and get you a wee bit more comfortable. You've no medication on you, no?
No.
Nothing at all. Has this happened before?
No.
It hasn't? Right, right. What we're going to do is we're just going to try and make you comfortable, and we're going to try and maybe get someone else to pilot this boat and get the whole lot all to shore. Okay?
Yes.
You happy enough?
Yep.
Right, okay. Yes, we're going to get the casualties onto your boat and hopefully get them to shore.
Just let you know that the lunch is ready, or you coming back to the station.
We were going to try and get the passenger shore, but if we can't get the casualty out, you get him to shore. I get the maybe name priority. He's complaining of pains in his chest. He's had no previous pains and all, so I think it might be best maybe to get him to shore, and we'll get somebody to try and get this boat back in for him. Yeah.
I'll look. Okay.
All right. Hold on, girls. Will we change the plan here? Dominic, the other boat's here. If you have enough to move, if we try and get you onto our other lifeboat, and we'll get you to shore and try and get you medical attention. Yeah. Okay. Right. Hold on a second. Do you want to just leave out a wee second and we'll both of us will help with them? You're happy enough to move? Yep. All right. Just nice and slowly now. Complaining of pain in his chest.
Did you sit down there now, Dominic? So what they actually lie down is lie down on the side on the boat. Put your feet up to the side there. See? That's it. You want to keep your head forward in your Right, Dominic, you come you're steady enough there, yeah? Okay, we'll bring him ashore. Somebody stay with it, stay right beside it.
Yes, you are ready for war. Them on the road, they're ready for war. Yes, you are ready.
We now have a phone call from Colonel Walker all the way from Afghanistan. Hello, Colonel. It's very good of you to ring us today.
It's my pleasure. It's okay.
So could you tell us a little bit about what your role is in Afghanistan?
I work in a U.S. Marine Corps led headquarters, and my job is to look after the development of the Afghan uniformed police out here.
And what's it like working with the Americans and the Afghans?
It's outstanding. I enjoy working alongside the U.S. Marine Corps. I share an office with a U.S. Marine Corps officer, so it's pretty interesting, and it's nice to work with another organisation. And again, with the Afghan forces, again that's pretty interesting. I don't meet them that regularly, but when I do, I find it very engaging, and it's an enjoyable part of the job that I do out here.
And what's it like to do a 12-month tour?
Long. It's very different. Normally, British forces would routinely do 6 months on operations. So to do 12 months is just a slightly different mindset. I've been out here for almost 7 months now. Time passes pretty quickly. But it is tiring because we work 7 days a week, so you don't get any time off. So that's a little bit different. I'm very lucky in that I get home 3 times during that year. So I get back for 2 weeks each of those periods of R&R, as we call it in the Army. So I'm looking forward to getting back on my next one and seeing Caroline, who's my wife, and children. So that's something to look forward to. But I think you just get used to it. You sort of set your expectations from the start. So you know you've got 12 months to do, and you just get on with it. And as I said, time does pass quickly. You tend to be pretty busy during the day, and we work pretty long days. So I'm normally up at 6:30 in the morning, and don't finish to normally about 11 or midnight at night. So time passes extremely quickly because your sort of day is full of work.
What do you miss most? Would it be your family, or is there something else?
No, my family, absolutely. Obviously, before I came out here, my youngest little boy was just born. So leaving him at, I think, 2 weeks old was pretty hard. I'm lucky that we've got great Wi-Fi facilities, so I get to FaceTime my family on a regular basis. So I get to see little Owen sort of growing up and progressing in front of my eyes. So to have that makes a huge difference, and clearly not everybody who's deployed in operations has that sort of has that opportunity to have Wi-Fi. So appreciate that, but definitely without doubt, family is the thing that I miss most.
That's lovely. Do you think you're making a difference out there?
I hope so. I'd like to think, because I'm away for a year, that it's not in vain. And certainly, you can see overall, I think that we're making a difference. You know, the area which I work in, which is the police development, they've come on a lot in the last few years. From a fairly basic start. So therefore, I do see that, and I do see that more widely in terms of how things are developing within Helmand province, which is where we are. So obviously, I only play a very, very small role within that, but I'd like to think that I'm contributing to the overall effort of making a difference out here. So I think yes is the answer, but a bit of a long-winded answer to that.
Well, thank you very much, Colonel. Bye.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. And now we have an interview with Soldier Ben Davis. I interviewed him this morning. I'm here today with Captain Ben Davis. Captain Davis, where are you from?
I'm from Caterham in Surrey in England. It's very near Gatwick Airport.
And what school did you go to?
I went to Caterham School, which is, people know where the Caterham cars are from.
Can you tell me a little bit about your job, please?
Yeah, currently I'm adjutant of the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Irish Regiment. And basically my job role there is to administer and deploy soldiers to either Afghanistan or overseas exercises or exercises within the United Kingdom.
And what's your favourite part of the Army?
My favourite part of the Army is actually, getting the opportunity to command soldiers both on operations and on exercise within the United Kingdom. It's a privilege to command such highly trained individuals. And
how many people are in your regiment?
There's roughly 400 people in the battalion at the moment. Obviously that changes depending on the recruiting that is coming in and how many people are leaving.
And where does your job take you to?
In recent years, my job has taken me to Afghanistan. My last tour was on Operation Herrick 13, which was to Afghanistan in Helmand province. There's a winter tour, 2010-2011.
And what process have you been through to get involved in the Army?
For me personally, it was quite a long process. I decided when I was about 16 and a half I wanted to join the Army. So I was at my cadet force at my school. And I went for an officer selection because I was due to do my A-levels. I was eligible to join as an officer. So I went down to a place called Westbury in Wiltshire, where they assess your suitability to be an officer, and you go through a selection process. And because I was quite young, I was lucky enough to be offered a scholarship. So they paid me to do my A-levels and then subsequently go on to Oxford Brookes University, where I did sports science. After university, I then went to the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, which is officer training for all officers, regardless of what regiment or cap badge that they join. During that process, there are visits to different regiments and sort of a look at life to make you decide where you want to go. I'd always wanted to join the infantry, but had no sort of allegiance to any particular regiment. I visited the Royal Irish, and they are a brilliant bunch of soldiers. In my opinion, some of the best soldiers in the British Army. It's been a pleasure to command them. Once you finish Sandhurst as the officer training and you've been selected by a regiment, for me in the infantry, I go to a place called the Infantry Battle School in Brecon, where they teach you how to be a platoon commander, which is the first job that you'll do as an infantry officer coming out of training. And they teach all the techniques and procedures that you require to command your platoon to attack an enemy force. But also, how to command your guys to the relevant standard, either on exercise or on operations. From that point, you then take various jobs, commanding and controlling different soldiers. The last tour, I was the reconnaissance commander, so as a captain, which is a slightly more senior platoon command role. And then I've moved on to the controlling role that I'm in now, adjutant at 2 Royal Irish.
Okay, thank you for taking your time out to talk to me.
That's great, thank you.
With me is Fiona Weir from British Forces News. Welcome to our programme, Fiona.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fiona, who do you work for and what does your job involve?
Well, as you said, I work for British Forces News. We're part of the British Forces Broadcasting Service, and we provide all the radio and television services for soldiers, airmen and sailors wherever they are in the world. And we even provide our services on DVDs and on discs for sailors who are at sea as well. So it's a pretty big organisation to work for. I actually work for the part called British Forces News, which is we have a programme every evening at 6:30, and that would be the same as UTV Live or BBC Newsline. So that's what I feed into that.
Okay. You must go to some really interesting places and meet some amazing people.
I do, and working with servicemen, whether they're Navy, Army or Air Force, is always going to be very special. They're a very special group of people. I mean, they really do give up everything for their country. But I've had a really interesting year, actually. Just before Christmas this year, I got the chance to travel to Uganda in Africa, which was great. I'd been to Kenya before, but never been to Uganda. And I went there with the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Irish Regiment, who aren't based too far from here in Portadown. And this is what happened. 5,500 of the peacekeeping troops deployed in Somalia are from the Ugandan People's Defence Force, and the task of international training teams over the last 15 weeks has been to get the soldiers to the required standard to carry out this role.
They've been working in Somalia, in Mogadishu, for the last 4 years nearly, and they've had some terrible casualties, and they've had to fight very, very hard. They're extremely brave people, but really what you have here is you have an African country who are a force for good in the region, who are working under the African Union to bring peace and stability in a country such as Somalia.
Mogadishu is one of the most dangerous cities in the world, and key to the UPDF's success in the region will be their ability to manoeuvre in built-up areas, something until now they've not been practised in.
The Ugandan army over this last 20, possibly 30 years, have been focused purely on bush warfare against the Lord's Liberation Army. But now what we're doing is we're bringing transportable skills, that is urban skills, and we're now teaching them how to operate and fight in the urban environment.
Among the ranks of the 23 TA soldiers who have come here to Uganda are many ex-regulars. This means they've been able to bring not only the lessons from Afghanistan with them here to train the Ugandans, but also those learnt on the streets of Northern Ireland during Op Banner. Quick reaction force exercises, casualty evacuation drills and the principles of force escalation were laid out in simple terms, while planning with the commanders complemented vital FOB and convoy drills, which saw the troops dealing with IEDs. The Ugandan troops were keen to tap into the experiences of the Northern Irish soldiers.
The British have got a good experience in fighting in built-up areas. They also have a good experience in counter-insurgency operations, so we are benefiting a lot from them.
A final mission rehearsal exercise afforded the Africans the chance to put their 15 weeks of training into practice before they deploy into Somalia later this month. Fiona Weir, Forces News, Uganda.
That was an amazing video, Fiona. Is there one place in particular you've been that sticks out in your mind?
Do you know, sometimes you get to go to some amazing places and meet some amazing people. And in May, I got the chance to go to Florida to cover a story called Depth Therapy. And it's about using diving as a form of therapy for amputee servicemen or servicemen who are disabled. It wasn't meant to be my story. I was about the third person who got asked, but I was so lucky to have been sent. There's some things you do and you just feel really humble and really proud of being there and proud of having been part of it. And going to Florida and working with the US Marines Wounded Warrior Programme and with Depth Therapy was just one of those times. But you know, the Americans have a completely different attitude towards injured soldiers. They'll go up to them in the street, they'll shake their hands, they'll thank them for what they do, whereas we'd be a wee bit more reserved here back in the UK. So that was an eye-opener, I think, for all of us. But for me, I think the most amazing thing was going to the American Embassy to get what they have called an I visa, because you can't film in the States unless you've got or do anything media-wise unless you've got what's called an I visa. Now, those normally take about 2 weeks to come through, but as soon as I went into the consulate in Belfast and said I was going out to work with their Wounded Warrior Programme, which is their Wounded Soldiers Programme, I got my visa given to me on that day. So that made me realise it was going to be a really special trip. I was out there for a week. For these soldiers, it was just, for some of them, it gave them pain relief that they hadn't felt since the day they were wounded on the battlefield. And I think you'll see this from this next piece of footage.
Okay.
Kitted out in wetsuit and breathing apparatus, Chris Middleton looks apprehensive as he waits to enter the water for the first time. The 21-year-old trooper from the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards lost his legs 9 months ago when he stepped on an IED in Afghanistan. Joining Chris in the pool is another double amputee, Richard Ward, of the Household Cavalry, who was injured in 2009 when the vehicle he was travelling in triggered an IED. He is helped into the pool by the instructor, who will work with him during the duration of his stay in Florida. All the instructors here are carefully selected volunteers. Not only do they have to be able to deal with the technical issues involved in disabled diving, but also with the complexities of the mental issues that many of these soldiers are left with, having been so badly injured.
It's just fantastic to take these guys in the water and actually see them develop, and from when they're first thinking the first day that this is going to be absolutely, you know, really hard work and they're not going to be able to do it, see them today.
And at the other end of the pool is Carlos Buckley, who was left in a wheelchair after he was shot while on patrol. Depth therapy was developed by Fraser Bathgate, a pioneer of disabled diving. Paralysed in a climbing accident, he believes that diving freed him from the depression that affected him afterwards.
It's the only adventure sport that if you're in a wheelchair you can buy off the peg, and because you're leaving the wheelchair behind, you've got this incredible ability to move underwater, which you don't have on land. And we find that that tends to be a sort of starting point for freeing up, you know, the mind in many ways.
Initially, the programme was limited to US veterans, but after Fraser met George Cross recipient and Royal Marine Reservist Lance Corporal Matt Croucher, the programme was extended to include injured British soldiers.
So they're a bit apprehensive, and I mean, hats off to them. There's Todd from the US Marines, who's a triple amputee, so yeah, it's an amazing challenge for them. We've taken everyone that's been disabled from the neck down to individual injuries, amputees and such like, so yeah, it takes a bit of courage, I think, after their injuries to jump in the water and get on with it.
It's kind of strange, like, it's nice, the weightlessness, like, so.
Yeah. It's hard to get used to it at first, though, straight away.
Floating around.
But yeah, it's just great. It's great to be moving.
Now familiar with their equipment, the next step is the Atlantic Ocean for the first open water dive. Fiona Weir, Forces News, Key Largo, Florida.
Well, Fiona, that was a very inspirational video.
Well, it was amazing, and to think the guy there who has lost both his legs, the younger of the two guys, had only actually been injured 8 months previously, so it just shows how fast they can recover.
Okay. While we were wet and cold in Northern Ireland, you were in hot and dusty Afghanistan, working with troops from all over the world.
Yes, I'm just back about 6 weeks ago. I spent the summer in Afghanistan, so while you were all getting rained on here, I was baking out there. It was a bit like living in a fan oven sometimes. Some days it was 57 degrees. It was really, really hot. But the whole tempo sort of changed in Afghanistan now. You've still got your troops out on the ground doing their patrolling and whatever else, but with the drawdown coming in 2014, with the NATO troops pulling out, a lot of what's been done now is all about mentoring and training the Afghan National Army, the ANA, and the ANP, the Afghan National Police. And doing that, there are lots of different nations. Obviously, the British are there, the Americans are there, the US Marine Corps are there, and also the Danes. Now, I spent a day with the Danish Army in the Shorabak Training Centre, where they're training new recruits who will then go on to be the Afghan soldiers of the future. And this is how my day went. Intake of Afghan National Army soldiers pass off the parade square at the end of 8 weeks of basic training in Camp Shorabak. Every 10 weeks, 1,400 potential recruits report to the Regional Military Training Centre, where they are taught the basics of soldiering by ANA instructors who are currently being overseen by the Danish Army.
The main role is to mentor the training and the staff work there, and also mentor the commander's leadership.
For many of the recruits arriving here at the training centre, this will be the first time they've ever got behind a steering wheel. But the biggest challenge facing the Danish troops is the lack of basic skills, and much of their time is spent teaching literacy and numeracy.
By the time we leave here, I at least expect all recruits to be able to write their names, read shorter novels or texts, and do basic numeracy, meaning that they can go home and use these skills to, to make the possibilities better to get a job in the future and work on it from here. Because what they get here is the basics. Now it's just a question of, training it, working on it, and becoming better.
The centre was established 18 months ago, and the Danes took over the mentoring role in February.
In the past, we had the Americans and the British guys as advisor in RMTC. In these 6 months that we are working with the Danish soldiers or with Danish mentors, they are helping us in everything, day and night. They are hardworking. We are very happy with them.
The plan is that we will finish the mission in the end of this year, in the end of December, and I think that the Afghan, I know that they will take over, and they will do this in a proper way.
Of the 1,400 troops who pass out from Shorabak, 600 will stay at the RMTC for further training and will become the instructors of the future, while the remaining 800 move next door, where they will learn to patrol alongside British, Danish and American troops. Fiona Weir, Forces News, Camp Shorabak, Afghanistan.
With your experience in TV and radio, what advice would you have to give to those just starting out?
Oh gosh, I think the best thing I could say is just always be yourself and find the medium that suits you best, whether that's print, whether you want to work for newspapers, whether that's television or that's radio. Focus on that one first. You will end up having to do them all eventually, because that's just the nature of the job now. We all have to be trimedial. But yeah, just be yourself and just let the job take you where it does.
Okay, thanks for talking to us today, Fiona. Now let's head up to Amy and see how the voting has gone.
So the winner has been decided. I have the piece of paper in my hand. Thank you for everyone who has voted. And now we will decide our winner. So everyone had brilliant costumes and really brilliant heroes, but only one person can win. So are you ready? The winner is Fiona Bone. Well done, Fiona. Now what would you like to say for everyone who voted for you?
Thank you everyone who voted for me. I really appreciate it.
So this was Fiona Bone, and what were you dressed up as?
A police officer.
A police officer.
The grand total today raised for Heroes Uniform Collection was £160 and 13 pence. And a total of non-uniform £367 and 58 pounds. Thanks to all the schools that tuned in today from all over the world, over Great Britain. Thanks to Danny from National Heroes Day for supporting our programme. Thanks for watching today. We will leave you with some footage from earlier.
So, Miss Hannah, who are you dressed up as today and why?
Well, I'm dressed up, as you can see, as Mrs. McNutt. Mrs. McNutt was my old Girl Guide leader whenever I was about 14 or so, same age as our pupils are now. And the reason I've chosen her is because she was such a big inspiration in my life when I was that age, and even afterwards. I've actually got some of my badges here whenever I was a guide and then later as a guide leader. So, well, Mrs. McNutt actually inspired me to go on after I left the Guides to become a leader in the Guides, and I worked in the Guides for quite some time, and it was just a really good time in my life, and it taught me an awful lot about growing up, being independent, and most of all, being responsible and just helping other people. So I just wanted to honour her today.
Thank you very much. I can see that you are a nurse. Why did you choose this as your hero?
Well, 2 or 3 years ago, my husband was very seriously ill with meningitis, so I had quite a lot of time spent in hospital, and I have great admiration for the health service and for all that they do, and for the nurses who work tirelessly, not just with my husband, obviously, but with lots of people who are very ill. So I couldn't do it, but I really admire what they do.
Thank you very much. So why are you dressed up as Usain Bolt today?
I just like Usain Bolt and it felt like it.
Do you like athletics?
Yeah.
Maybe someday you could be a runner?
Yeah.
Thank you. So who are you dressed up as today?
Dappy.
And why have you chosen Dappy?
Because he's a good singer.
Thank you. Why have you chosen the Ireland rugby team as your hero?
Because I like them and I've always been interested in rugby.
Thank you. Who are you dressed up as today?
My dad.
Why have you chosen your dad?
Well, he's a great dad and he's a great driver.
Thank you. Why have you chosen your brother as your hero?
I have chosen my brother because he's always been with me and he's always been playing with me and he's always helped me.
Thank you. Who are you dressed up as today?
My Uncle William.
And why have you chosen your uncle?
Because he took part in the Afghanistan Royal Air Force.
Thank you. Who is Jane Tomlinson and why is she your hero?
Jane Tomlinson survived from breast cancer and then went on to cycle around many places in the world and raised a lot of money for cancer research.
And why is she your hero?
Well, because she's doing a lot of interesting, well, she has done, she's dead now, but she has done a lot of interesting stuff for cancer.
Thank you. Why are you dressed as Charlene Barr?
Charlene Barr worked with charities over in Uganda to help build schools for underprivileged children.
And why have you chosen her as your hero?
Because she worked through everything, even though she was very sick, and she earned money to help other people.
Thank you very much. Scott, this is an amazing outfit. Who are you dressed up as today?
I doubt anyone would actually know him, but Bono. He's a singer of U2, and also he did a lot of charity work. Donated a lot of money, and yeah, that's why he's a hero to me.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Katie, why are you dressed up as Justin Bieber today?
I'm dressed up as Justin Bieber because his perfume Someday, all the money that he raised from it went to charity, and because there's another reason, but I forgot it as well. But oh, and the wee girl that had cancer, this is what it was. The wee girl Avalana who had cancer, she died, but he gave hundreds of thousands of pounds there to try save her, and then that's why.
Thank you very much. Who are you dressed up as today?
I'm dressed up as my granddad Billy. He was in the army.
Why is he your hero?
Because he fought for our nation.
Thank you very much. This is a really interesting outfit. Who are you dressed up as today?
Well, I'm dressed up as a lady called Helen Lewis, who really inspired me. She wrote this book, A Time to Speak. She's actually from Czechoslovakia, and she was placed in Auschwitz concentration camp by the Nazis during the war. Now, she survived because she was a dancer, so I have my dancing shoes here as well. She was a dancer, and she survived the camp because the Nazis realised this and they used her to entertain them. She would have danced for the Nazis at Christmas and organised productions and so on. So she managed to survive for that very reason. She managed to survive the march across Europe through pain, and she was quite diseased and ill and hungry, and obviously overcame a lot of obstacles, which I think really illustrates what a true hero actually is. Then she came to Belfast and she married, and she was a pioneer of modern dance here. And she survived until I think she was 92 and died in the last couple of years. So I just think she's an amazing woman, and that's why I dressed as her.
I can see you really enjoyed the Olympics. Who are you dressed up as?
Today I am Jessica Ennis. She is my hero, not just because she has won a gold medal, but because she actually couldn't take part in the previous Olympics in Beijing. And because of that, she was injured, and she really, really trained, tried really hard, and then came back and won gold. So that's why she is an inspirational figure for me.
This looks like a racing theme, Mr. Poots.
Well, it would be. It's obviously a Ferrari top, which I got for a present, Christmas present about 3 years ago, and thankfully it still fits. So you're quite right, it is a racing theme.
And why have you chosen racing as your hero?
Well, it's a sport I've followed for years, and this year's championship, Fernando Alonso is team leader for Ferrari. And even Ferrari admitted at the start of the year that their car wasn't up to the job. They were struggling even to get into the top 10 for some events. But despite that, Fernando managed to get into the lead of the championship and win 3 races, and is currently laying second in the championship. So I think he has done very well, considering he's in a lesser machinery in comparison with the other teams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poots.
Thank you.
I like your wig, Mr. Guy. Why have you chosen your dad as your hero?
Well, I've chosen my dad. I think my dad was a bit of a local hero around Lurgan for Glenavon and for Ards, and he also played in a lot of Northern Ireland teams, one of which was with George Best. I don't think his hair was just this big in the 70s, but there was a few good photos of him with the long hair. My dad, definitely my hero. He taught me everything I know about sport and gave me a love for sport, and looked after me pretty well, with my mum as well, obviously.